Oh, yeah. The sound of Gil Santos will just always put me at ease.
No, it's we remember the Patriots coming of age.
Gil and Gino up there in the booth. Adam Vinatieri kicking it through the uprights. En route to the first dynasty in this franchise's history.
Where do you put Adam Vinatieri on the list of
important
Patriots relative to the dynasty?
Is Belichick on the list, or is this just players?
I mean, Belichick is on the list.
All right, then Vinatieri. If it's a Rushmore, Vinatieri's on there.
Okay,
Brady and Belichick are two of the faces. He's got to be on there because he won the first Super Bowl at the buzzer. He won the second one. There's 4 seconds left, plus a kickoff. They tackled the guy at the 25. The Philadelphia game that we just played the highlights for you there, yes, it backed into a 3-point spread at the end of it, but it was still a field goal margin at the end when Rodney Harrison intercepted that pass. I don't know whose fourth face I put on there, whether it's Gronk, whether it's... I mean, it's probably got to be Gronk, but Vinatieri deserves a spot because nobody directly played a bigger role in half the Super Bowls than he did, apart from Brady.
I don't know if I would put Gronk there because he came along. He was important to the second half of that dynasty. I mean, essentially it was 2.
He was on the field
when was
really
he drafted?
For just the one. So he played in the Seattle game, but was banged up in and out. Had some big catches in there. Had a touchdown in the game, I believe, early on, or at least some big catches, and played a big role. But he was not part of 28-3, remember, because he was injured during that year.
And he wasn't part of the initial 3.
He wasn't anywhere near the initial 3.
It had already been established by the time. That would be what would hold me.
He did play in the 2018 one against the Rams.
Yep.
Had a big catch there to set up the lone touchdown.
I mean, he may have been one of the 3 or 4 best players, but just in terms of the dynasty, I don't know. I think I would have to go with somebody from the earlier part in terms of kind of like the establishment of the dynasty. And I don't know if that's Tyler or
it is tough because there were so many contributors to that first dynasty.
You can't, and you think about Brady and Belichick being so dominant, and I would put Vinatieri next because you mentioned those kicks. Well, the kicks he made against the Raiders in the Snow Bowl again, they don't get there.
Yep.
I mean, you can say that just as much about that as you can about the tuck rule. None of those things happened. Any one of those things didn't happen. Him making those field goals in the snow or the tuck rule, or we might not have experienced any of this.
Those snow kicks are the biggest kicks in franchise history. The biggest because that was the wild card round of those playoffs, right? Or was it the divisional round? Either way,
it was very early.
Very early. Yeah, and the Raiders are a 10-point favorite in the game, whatever the case is.
Yeah,
it's because of the snow that they're kind of in it and able to keep the offense clamped down. And then Vinatieri, I mean, that first one, you can't even see the ball in the air.
And that was like 40-something yards.
It was, yeah.
And it's, just remarkable. And that's what makes what happened over the weekend, I don't know if that's what we're going to talk about now, but
we got some bites.
That's what makes it kind of almost bittersweet because, Vinatieri wound up spending more of his career with the Colts than he did with the Patriots.
Carlton Fisked it.
14 years to 10. Won 1 Super Bowl with the Colts, 3 with the Patriots, and yet when he was being introduced to the Hall of Fame over the weekend,
the Big Three wasn't in attendance.
Nobody was there. I mean, I find it so ironic that, given that Vinatieri makes the Hall of Fame before Brady, Belichick, and Kraft, all 3 of them.
Now Brady, I'm not trying to
Brady's
defend him.
It's a numbers thing. He hasn't been out of the league long enough.
Oh, no. I meant for this weekend, his attendance.
Yeah.
Not trying to defend him because he chose to do it himself, but he was spending his birthday like with his kids over in Italy or something. So that's where he made a video for Vinatieri and thanked him in that regard. But
and Bill was
he's trying to put out all the fires right now.
Salvage North Carolina's football program, but still, I mean, there should have been some representation there. And as it turned out, it gave Vinatieri a chance to kind of get even a little bit because basically Belichick wouldn't pay him.
No.
And he deserved to be paid based on what he had done for them. He wanted probably to be the highest paid kicker in the history of the NFL at that point.
Which at that
and
point,
he deserved it.
Which at that point had to be what, like $3 million a year?
Sure. I mean, it wasn't like he was a wide receiver or a running back or a quarterback back then. And, and he had done enough to merit. He should have been able to write his name on a blank check, basically, after what he did to help get those guys. And I'm talking about not so much Brady, but Belichick and Kraft into the Super Bowl victory category. Just remarkable kicks. And yet, they said no. And he said, well, okay, I'm going to go. He took the next best deal he could get and happened to be with one of their big rivals.
Yep. Got another ring out of it.
And he got another ring out of it. I mean, as much as Brady got another ring at the end of his career for kind of the same thing happening.
Yeah, really.
They wouldn't pay Brady at the end either. And he got his next Super Bowl with Tampa Bay, and Vinatieri did the same thing with the Colts, Baltimore, and Indy at that point. Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's just so sad that there was so little connection between the Patriots and Vinatieri at that ceremony, other than Vinatieri rifling off a few shots. It's the roast of the New England Patriots from Adam Vinatieri.
So if you missed Vinatieri's induction speech yesterday at the Hall of Fame, Canton, Ohio, for the Football Hall of Fame, he decided to take the opportunity and turn it into like a tight five comedy routine. Here's Vinatieri talking about Belichick during his speech. So there's his little shot at Bill. Next, he's got Brady in his sights. Fair game. Brady's acting like a weirdo now.
He is.
Acting like a bit of a crazy person with a taste for the limelight. And so that was Vinatieri going after the Patriots that weren't in attendance. Then he went after a couple of former Colt teammates who were in attendance sitting front row.
Oh, jeez.
Adam Vinatieri is looking for the next Netflix special, or whoever wants to come his way.
Yeah, he's got himself a job there. Do you have the one about the fans?
I don't know.
He addressed the Patriots fans. I mean, I don't know how many were there, but he called them massholes.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, he did.
All right.
Because they booed him when he came back to Foxborough after he had signed with the Colts, and he only helped him win 3 Super Bowls. So
he also had a Deflategate joke in his lineup there, talking about how most organizations, it's the players making headlines, not ball boys.
I guess some people are upset that he took it in that direction, because this is one of these holier than thou Hall of Fame introductions where it's all about the frozen tundra and all these great memories. But
listen, it's the sport and the people who play the sport that we're talking about here. If Adam Vinatieri wants to spend his 7 minutes up there making some, at the end of the day, completely meaningless jokes about people who were lifelong friends and will still have his back to this day.
But there's an edge to some of that stuff too.
There definitely is.
I mean, I think you get the sense that if given the opportunity and the money he thought he deserved, he would probably have retired a Patriot.
Yeah.
But he went on.
This shocked me. I looked it up before the break. He was still kicking in 2019 at the age of 47. That's how long he lasted in the NFL.
Well, it was like 24 years. I mean, I think it was 10 for the Patriots and then 14 for the Colts. And so he moved on to the Colts.
Right after 2004. That was his final year.
Okay.
They drafted Gostkowski, and I mean, he was fine. He was a big number kicker, but not a big game kicker.
He was not the clutch kicker that Vinatieri was.
No.
I mean, matter of fact, to the point where I can remember more than a few of these kind of like 48-yard field goal attempts that they wouldn't even try with Gostkowski.
The offense out there.
Because I challenge anyone to come up with 3 significant
notable
Stephen
Gostkowski
kicks. And that's not, I mean, he made a good living out of it, scored a ton of points because Patriots are pretty prolific offensively, but he just didn't, how do you follow Vinatieri?
Yeah.
He was the best kicker, the most clutch kicker in NFL history. Still leads all kickers in game-winning field goals.
Yep.
Well, I mean, he played 24 years, so, I mean, it's not a surprise there. And then the ones that, got the Patriots dynasty going were just so memorable. They put so many other ones that he kicked that were big, to shame almost. But it was tough being Stephen Gostkowski, but he had a good living, and then Vinatieri is the greatest kicker of all time.
He's in Canton for it.
He is.
Not too many of them hanging out there.
No, I was going to say, how many are there really?
Let's look that up, because apart from...
Is it like Blanda and Groza and
then you got Ray Guy for punting.
And that's pretty much it. And I don't even know if all three of those in. Blanda was a quarterback as well.
Full-time kickers in the Hall. Jan Stenerud was the first one to go in 1991, the former Kansas City Chiefs kicker. Morton Anderson, kind of the original guy to set all the records.
Saints, yep.
And then you got Vinatieri.
Is that it?
And then it appears that it's just old-time, old-era two-way guys like the Lou Grozas of the world, the George Blandas, like you just mentioned.
Yep, those are the two I mentioned from the old days.
Yeah, so those, Anderson, Vinatieri, and Stenerud, the only full-time kickers in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think Groza, actually the top collegiate kicker, I believe, gets the Lou Groza Award every year. And Blanda was, I remember when I was first starting to pay attention to it, he was a backup quarterback for the Raiders, but he used to come in and do crazy things. You know, he was very successful in that role a couple of years.
Looked like he was about 78 while he was doing so.
Exactly. And he probably wasn't much less than that. He was in his 40s. But, so, I mean, it's a pretty limited club, and you understand that. It's football, and there's always going to be some sort of different thoughts about place kickers and their role in football, but
hey, you got to find a way to write your name into the fabric of the game's history, and that's what Vinatieri did.
Oh, he did it. He did it the simplest way: just make big kicks, win Super Bowls.
Yep, Adam Vinatieri going into Canton yesterday, along with Larry Fitzgerald, Drew Brees. Those were the modern players. I think there was a couple add-ins from various committees and whatnot as well.
Yeah, I can't think of them right now off the top of my head, but I think there were 5 altogether.
Yep. The Drive brought to you by Hero Sports Grill and Entertainment Center, the official sports grill of the Drive and the place to be in downtown Bangor. Also brought to you by Acadia Federal Credit Union. Their newest location open on Wilson Street right here in Brewer, serving Maine since 1973. They now have branches in Bangor, Brewer, and of course Aroostook County. Learn more at acadiafcu.com. And by Next Home Experience, the market leader. Get loot and get sold with Next Home Experience. Coming up on the other side of the timeout, we're going to talk some Patriots because it's game week. Yes, it's preseason, but the Patriots are playing on Thursday night. Get ready to kick it off. Drive at 5 rolling along on this Monday afternoon. Hunter Henry right there talking to Patriots training camp today after signing a new 2-year extension with the team worth $16 million that can climb as high as $20 million. Over 14 of it is guaranteed for the Patriots tight end. The Drive brought to you by Uno Pizzeria and Grill. They've got late night deals every night in the bar or lounge, 725 Stillwater Avenue in Bangor. Order to go at 947-5000 at unos.com. Also brought to you by Northeast Driving School. They've been the leader in driver training for 57 years. Register today for driver's ed courses at Greater Bangor's #1 driving school. Call 942-1769 or register at northeastdrivingschool.com. Mark Paulette and Ernie Clark hanging out with you in the Drive at 5. We had Mia Bouchard and Marty Ekman along with us from your local family-owned McDonald's, Main Street and Union Street in Bangor, Wilson Street in Brewer in the first hour. We just put down a couple of those crispy chicken Caesar wraps.
Yes.
No notes. Just perfection in my mouth. That was good there.
Oh, God, yeah. They were very good. Very good. And the drinks I had, too, as well. I think I don't even know what this is exactly, but it's like a
vanilla Coke, almost like
vanilla
a float of
Coke
some
Zero.
sort.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the premise. It's reminds you of an old-fashioned, not root beer float, but a Coke float.
Yep.
And very good as well, and kind of like different tastes as you get them through the cup, which is all good. So they'll be available,
I think, coming up on Wednesday.
Starting on Wednesday over at the McDonald's on
Main Street, Union Street, Bangor, and Wilson Street right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, the aesthetically pleasing Red Bull Energizer that I was drinking, I think it came with some sort of, like, Nerds, the candy, almost a top layer to it, which kind of morphed into, like, a margarita, either as a salt or a sugar rim. That was nice. You get a little something there.
See, I get
a little extra punch.
Unfortunately, I would love to taste, but I can't drink the Red Bull.
You'd be up until September.
I'd be jacked. It'd be unbelievable.
Time to talk some Patriots here in the Greenway Equipment Studios on the Drive. And so the news of the day there that Hunter Henry signing an extension effectively to remain with the Patriots for the rest of his career.
Sure, and they needed to do that, in some fashion, because the only other tight ends on the roster at this moment, I think, are both rookies.
Yeah, they've never officially played in the NFL before.
Third-round draft pick Reardon from Notre Dame. Is it Eric?
Aiken, or
I remember the first name.
Oh, his first name?
Yeah.
Caleb.
Caleb, okay. Yeah. And then there's
Eli. I don't know where Caleb just came from.
And then there's he's seemingly going to be a receiving wide receiver. He's a very tall guy, like 6'5", 6'6", and a lot of range. And then they have a blocking tight end who was an undrafted free agent. And
that's the Aiken
I'm looking
name
for
that
his
popped
name
into my
here.
head.
Yeah, indeed. But he's they've been fairly high on him, and if they're going to feature the rushing attack a little bit more this year, that tight end position is going to be very important with both those guys contributing, and ideally one or both of them are able to ascend to replace Hunter Henry in a couple of years. But Henry's 31, maybe going to be 32 right off quick. But he had a productive year last year, 768 yards and 7 touchdowns receiving. I think he was second on the team in probably both
catches and yards and led in touchdowns.
Okay, to Stephon Diggs, and so he's right there, and he's kind of a security blanket for Drake May at this time too. He's somebody that they've got a good working relationship, and as the wide receiving group kind of is growing this year, there's probably some solace for May in the fact that Hunter Henry's kind of there,
sure.
And he's your bailout guy on the
definitely
10 to 15 yarders as he looks downfield for the other guys first, maybe.
And just a forgotten but very comforting safety blanket, like you're talking about, in having when all the attention this offseason has been to A.J. Brown and what he does for Romeo Doubs and what that opens up for Kayshon Boutte and what that means for guys like Demario Douglas or Kyle Williams or Travion Henderson. But you can't forget the Patriots are also operating with one of the game's best, I'd say 5 to 10 tight ends. Like, he's not top 5, but he's somewhere in that next tier.
He's in that next tier. I mean, he's one of the better
he's consistent
receiving tight ends. He's not a big blocking guy, but he's now a receiving tight end. But then that's why you try to find somebody like Aiken who you can develop to do that.
Apparently it's Arkin. I let you
Arkin. Yeah, thank you.
Tanner Arkin. Undrafted free agent out of Illinois, but 6'4", 262. So you talk about the body that's kind of in between a pass catcher and a tackle.
Yeah, he's a blocker, and ideally he'll catch some short ones and get you some tough yardage. As well, you always have room for for the Patriots, either a guy like that or a fullback.
Yep,
and
which they have this year. Reggie Gilliam coming over from Buffalo.
I mean, it makes you think they're going to really kind of try to take advantage of their running game, assuming and I won't believe it till I see it. That people are kind of forgetting how much of a problem the offensive line still was during the playoffs last year.
And could still be, because the best projections I've seen have them like 17th, 18th in the NFL as a unit.
Yeah, I mean, they got these downfield threats now, they think, in Brown and to I guess a lesser extent Doubs, but Boutte as well, he's still on the team. He's still going to have time to throw.
Yep.
And they got a block for the run too, and I know they've made some changes, but you've still got 2 second-year guys on the starting offensive line, and Wilson, who's moved over from guard to center, and Will Campbell, the left tackle, and then you've got oft-injured
Elijah Vera Tucker
from the Jets, who, when he's healthy, is very good, but has not been very healthy over the course of his career. He's expected to fill in, and beyond that, you've got 126-year-old Morgan Moses.
You got Moses out on the edge.
Right tackle, yeah, the original Moses. And Oweno, who's been around now, is a veteran. But still, you've got to see this work to the point where May's not running for his life or has time to do things. We haven't seen that yet.
And it kind of speaks to something I want to bring up here, too. The Patriots have a lot of, I'm not going to call it great, but like very solid frontline talent. They have a good first class on their roster. They don't have a middle class, and they have a very, very bad poor class, if you want to keep that same analogy. because Caden Wallace just got cut today, who was selected in the 3rd round 2 years ago. He was supposed to be a fixture in the conversation we're having now,
right?
If not a starter, a guy who could play any one of those 5 spots along the line and bounce around.
He was like a 3rd or 4th round pick, right?
Third,
okay.
3rd, 68 overall in 2024. Drake May was their first pick that year. He is the only professional football player out of that class. Yeah. And that's not me being facetious or hyperbolic in any way. I've got the numbers here, and you go through the rest of the draft class, apart from Marcellus, I believe it's Dial or Dial,
okay.
who
D-I-A-L.
he played all 17 games that rookie season in 2024, blew out his knee in last year's training camp and missed all season, so he's still on the roster, just hasn't played since 24.
Part of that draft class is still with the Patriots.
He is the only other guy, apart from Drake May, who can say that he's not either out of the league or on his way out of the league, because everybody else... Jalen Polk, remember that name? Who they
just retired,
picked in
right?
the 2nd round, retired last week. Everybody else has either been cut or there's Joe Milton hanging on to the 3rd QB job in Dallas.
And that was the Mayo draft.
Yes,
that was a draft between Belichick and Vrabel.
That was Elliott Wolf's first stab.
And what you got to remember about that offseason as well was the only free agents that they signed were guys they already had.
Yeah,
and went 2 and
4 and 13.
4 and 13.
They went back to back 4 and 13 years.
So they didn't get anything out of the draft other than the quarterback, obviously, which was a no-brainer. I mean, there were 3 quarterbacks.
The first 2 were picked,
and they were going to get the 3rd one, whoever wasn't picked. And hopefully we got the best one. We don't know yet. But they got very little out of the draft except the quarterback.
Yeah,
and they got nothing out of free agency.
Mm-hmm.
And so you talk about an empty year in terms of trying to develop a roster to have the depth that you're kind of wishing for there in your comments.
Because it wasn't just 24 either. It was misses in 23 and 22 at the end of Belichick's tenure.
It goes back a long ways. But that year, that is kind of the last year when it was just bad on both ends. Because Henry, if I remember right, and correct me if I'm wrong, he was signed as a free agent after 21, and Belichick and them went out and spent a ton of money on free agency.
He was part of that year. He was part of that massive spending class when Bell went out and on day 1 of free agency was just blowing through like $100 million.
Yeah, exactly. He figured he had enough money for himself because he was making $25 or $30 million a year.
Because remember, it wasn't just him. It was Henry and Jonnu Smith. He brought over as a package deal, spending like $90 million at the tight end position.
And that was like a year or 2 after they had drafted 2 tight ends.
Yeah.
Drafted 2
tight ends.
Who
were out of football the following year because it's this continued misses in the draft classes that we're talking about.
Exactly. So, just getting back to your original point, though, they've only had a couple of years to start to rebuild the roster in terms of the depth. And last year, they didn't have any depth last year, but they had, 10 or 12 guys they could count on to lead the way. And it's a little bit better this year, I think. I think of Barmore and Milton Williams in the middle. I'd like to see him get like a true nose guard.
It's going to be tested this year because
the schedule, yeah, exactly.
Last year, you could probably rest some of those guys and allow some of the substandard middle class that I'm talking about to go out there late 3rd quarter, 4th quarter of games you were leading by 20 points against lesser competition, and you don't notice maybe some of the warts that will pop up when you have a premier quarterback on the other side of the field.
On offense, if the offensive line is better, and it has to be better. It can't be, it wasn't good enough last year.
No.
It has to be better. If it's better, it gives the offense a chance to be multidimensional and pretty good because you've got a good core of wide receivers. I would say the first 4 or 5 guys are fine. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of like the Pop Douglases and the Efton Chisholms and stuff.
I can take or leave those guys,
but they've got 2 or 3 running backs that they can use in tandem.
Mm-hmm.
Stevenson, Henderson in particular. And we'll see how the tight ends fare in terms of providing blocking for both of those as well as receiving. And they've got Drake May, who, if the offensive line is better, should have more protection. And he's going to need it because the schedule, by and large, is more difficult from game 1 to game 17. Yep. It was very difficult during the playoffs last year, but from 1 to 17, it wasn't that challenging. And then on defense, I assume Christian Gonzalez is going to play all year this year. I mean, I just don't know that he's going to hold out, but they got a chance to be pretty good in the secondary. I think the safeties are pretty good. Byard, who they picked up as a free agent, he's an older guy, but he's a veteran and he knows what he's doing and makes up for.
Carlton Davis already hurt, and he's always going to scare me. That said, though, like when he was on the field and making plays last year, I was eating a lot of crow, I found at times.
But he's got a hamstring and those things. They have a couple of young guys that I know that they've been high on because they're always high on him at this time of year. There's a guy named Prunty that comes to mind. That was pretty good. So maybe they have a decent secondary. And one of the keys on defense is kind of the opposite of what is on offense. We talk about trying to keep guys away from May. Well, they've got to get to the opposing quarterbacks from the edge, and there's a question as to whether they've gotten any better at that. And they were one of, if not the weakest teams in terms of sacking the quarterback last year. So
Hawkins is going to be huge.
Right.
Second round pick, finally in camp, trying to get up to speed.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, he's behind by a few weeks now. Had off-season knee surgery, which was kind of the source of the problems that they had in terms of the contract situation that finally got resolved. But they're going to need him to come in and be a difference maker on the edge, and I think that's going to determine how good their defense is to a great degree. Should be able to. I think they're going to be okay against the run, but if they can't sack the quarterback, you
can't pressure them. Yeah,
you can only guard these guys for any of these guys for so long, and we'll see. We'll get our first taste of it. Won't be able to learn a lot tonight, but hopefully a couple of those new guys, whether they're young or veterans, will start to kind of show us, like, oh, that's something we didn't have last year, and maybe they do become a little bit deeper than they were a year ago.
Yeah, it is game week here for the Patriots, opening up preseason Thursday night against the Colts. You can hear that game on our sister station, I-95.7 WWMJ, coming up on Thursday. The Drive brought to you by Tossie's Checkout, calling all Sasquatch seekers to the second annual Glenburn Sasquatch Calling Contest, Saturday, August 29th from 1 to 5 at 1492 Pushaw Road in Glenburn. It features a $100 cash prize, compete for legendary bragging rights, and it's free to enter. Bring your crew, bring your call, and we'll see you at Tossie's Checkout. Also brought to you by Dean's Detailing, the leader in auto detailing for over 55 years. Renew your vehicle's appearance, protect your auto investment, look good and feel good in a clean, shiny car, and book your appointment at deansdetailing.com. On the other side of the break, we get a sports center, a weather forecast, and what else do we have here? Some Sox props. I distracted myself because it's also your time to blow up the Heroes Hotline. Cue to call for our Red Sox ticket sweepstakes presented by Dunnett's Appliance and Service. Back here in the Greenway Equipment Studios for the penultimate time today. We got to take one more break before buzzer beaters. The Drive brought to you by Novus Auto Glass. Give them a call at 945-6688 to get windshield repaired or replaced. Also brought to you by Dean's Detailing, the leader in auto detailing for 55 years. Renew your vehicle's appearance, protect your auto investment, look good and feel good in a clean, shiny car, and book your appointment at deansdetailing.com. Time to find us a Sox prop. We got Sonny Gray on the mound tonight against the Blue Jays. He's been a pretty safe bet for most of the year. 14-2 the record, ERA sub 2.8. And I'm looking at the strikeout number tonight, Ernie, and Caesars has him down at 5 or more strikeouts as the number for us to clear if we want it. For a guy who, now he's not on the 200-plus pace that he's been on in recent years for strikeouts, Sonny Gray, but he still averages 8 per 9 innings pitched this season, and I think his last time out, 6 innings, only gave up a couple of hits, 0 earned, 8 strikeouts. Seemed that he got back in the groove after a rough start 2 times before on that turn.
Yeah, he's been 200 strikeouts each of the last 2 seasons, so it's not a question of having lost the fastball. I don't know what he's got for strikeouts this year, but you say he's averaging 8 per 9 innings.
106 for the season total.
In how many innings?
106 in 119.2.
Yeah, so almost a strikeout an inning.
Yeah.
And so he pitches 6.
Oh,
he
easy.
pitches 6 or 7. So I don't have any problem with that at all.
Yeah, Sonny Gray twice in July failed to reach that number. He had starts of 3 strikeouts. Now, one of them was against Toronto, and that is who his rough start came against 2 times ago when he gave up 10 hits and 5 earned in 5 innings pitched. But that, to me, could also state that he wants a little revenge tonight.
He's going to avenge that rare bad outing.
That is the only team to score more than 3 earned runs on Sonny Gray since May 24th.
Okay.
That is how good this guy has been.
Well, maybe that's why the numbers are a little bit down on him. But again, he's a competitive guy. They're coming off 2 straight losses for the first time in more than a month. So that's another
June 30th, July 1st, the last time this team dropped back-to-back games.
Almost a month and a half. But that's another reason for him to kind of step up and end the streak before it becomes a streak. And I'll go with that.
Yeah, bullpen still. Now, it got reset the last couple of days because they called a guy up from Worcester over the weekend and used him, I think, every game of the series. Is
that Burgos?
Yep. Just using whatever bullets are in that left arm to be had for a few games to try to reset it because it was completely spent Friday night.
I don't want to go too far. Speaking of that.
Or not Friday, sorry, the crazy game last week.
They've got to put Bayo back in the starting role to make him a starter again. And
those numbers are real scary.
This is messed up for him to have to do that because they get behind. They're playing from I got behind early last night. I mean, it's just, rather than playing even, he's got to be able to pitch the first inning.
He's got like a 0.75 ERA in going on 50 innings now as a reliever this season, and a 10.5 ERA in just over 30 innings as a starter.
Put him on the bullpen, have him pitch an inning, have him throw 20 pitches, against a guy standing there or something. Jesus. I don't know, but I think Sonny Gray's good for win number 15 and
at least 5 punchies tonight.
5 is the magic number, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he can do that.
We can get to 5. That will do it for our Sox Prop here on The Drive, brought to you by Casella. Good pay, good people. Find your place at thepowerofhardwork.com. We are back with buzzer beaters right after this. Just about time for buzzer beaters, wrapping up this Monday edition of The Drive. Before we get there, I want to give a shout out to Sean, who called in for our Red Sox ticket sweepstakes because he called in from Alexander. And in my decade of doing this show, Ernie, that's the first call we've received of the 500 and roughly 20 inhabitants of Alexander, Maine. So the first time we hear from a town, got to give it a shout out and put it on the map.
I'm down there a lot. Well, I say a lot. I'm down there several times a year in that area, in that region. Say I have family in Robbinston. And the station comes in.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Depends on
it kind of depends
how
on
tall the trees are around you,
the weather, and because you've got a series of when you come from like the St. Croix River, which is Cowles and Woodland,
get some rises,
you're going up over some hills and then down into some valleys and up over some hills. And
depending on that very thing, I've got I'd say an hour beyond the border in New Brunswick before we can extend if the conditions are right.
Yeah, I get it on Route 1, which is coming down right near the border from Topsfield to Cowles. I make that trip a few times a year, and I'm usually able to get it on there. It used to be I couldn't get anything on there other than bouncing off a Canadian tower.
Get some French stations maybe.
Yeah, exactly. From New Brunswick, Quebec area.
We'll be back with you tomorrow, Ernie and myself, from 4 to 6 right here on The Drive.